Today we are starting Unit 11, which Unit 11 is all about, it's called Samples and Population, because you're going to be learning how to look at a population and take a sample of it and what to do with that data. So today we're going to learn about two different things, measures of center and measures of variability. Center means figuring out what numbers are near the middle, versus measures of variability. If you think of the word variability comes from variable, it's talking about how far or how much do the numbers vary from one another. All right, so first your measures of central tendency, I bet you've probably learned before. So let's take a look at what those are. The first measure of central tendency, let me kind of start by this. Okay, there's three measures of central tendency we're going to learn about. Okay, 1, 2, 3 right here. We have mean, we have median, and we have mode. Again, you're probably familiar with these, but let's review what they mean. First of all, the mean of a set of data is the sum of the values in the data set divided by the number of values in the data set. So that means you're going to add all your numbers up, divide by how many numbers you have, and that's going to give you what number is near the middle. Okay, so for example, this data set over here, there's a little check. Each of these represent the number of siblings students have. So one sibling has 0, another one has 0, third one has 0, and so on. So each check is a different student. So when you count those up, and we add up 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 plus 1, and so on, we add those up, we would get 56, and then there's 19 students. So we would take 56 divided by 19, and that would give you about 3 siblings then per student. And if you look for 3 in your data, 3 does appear to be near the middle of your data. Okay, so that's mean, adding them up, dividing by how many numbers you have. Okay, the next thing, median, is actually finding the middle number. So if I take all those numbers and I write it out, notice there's 3 zeros, so there's the 3, there's 2 1s, 4 2s, and so on. So it's listing the numbers in order and then actually finding the middle. So counting your way in. I like to use my fingers and just count in. So I go from here to here to here to here and keep going until I figure out which one is in the middle. And I end up having this one right here. Now with there being 19 numbers, that's an odd number, there should be one number in the middle. That then is your median, your middle number. Okay? If there happens to be an even amount of data points, then you're going to take the average of the two middle numbers. Okay, so for example, this data set right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. So the middle of it would be here, here, both of these. So you take the average of 7 and 8, meaning you add 7 and 8 together, divide it by 2, and then 7.5 would be your median. Okay, so there's either one number in the middle or 2 that you have to average, and that is your median. Okay, and then the third measure of central tendency is the mode. The mode is the number that appears the most frequently, so whichever one is there the most. Okay, so if we have this data set right here, we can see that the 2 happened the most. Now, is 2 necessarily in the middle? No, but it is called the measure of central tendency because typically the mode will be near the middle if it's the most common, but it doesn't always appear that way. Okay, if I look back at this data set, the mode, again, would be the 2. That's the one that occurred the most. All right, so those are your measures of central tendency. Again, they tell you where the center of your data is. Okay, so now I'm going to shift this up and we're going to look at the measures of variability. All right, so right here, let's see, is that on there good? Okay, these are our measures of variability. We just have 2 of them. Okay, again, variability means how much do the numbers vary from one another. We have the range, which you probably are familiar with range. Range is just the difference in your maximum and your minimum number. So for example, if you have all of these numbers, the range is going to be 9, and that comes from, this is supposed to be a minus sign here, taking the highest number, the 11, minus the smallest number, the 2, and that gives you 9. Okay, so that's how spread out the numbers are apart. That means there's 9 numbers from the biggest to the smallest. So it tells you how much they vary. Okay, and then we have this thing that you probably haven't heard about. It's called the mean absolute deviation, or for short, we'll call that MAD, M-A-D, okay? The MAD gives you the average distance of all the data values in a data set from the mean of the distribution. Sounds kind of fancy, I know. It's not difficult to calculate, but it is a little tedious, so we gotta be careful. So here's how it works. This is step by step how you figure it out. Step one, you'll find the mean. Well, you guys know how to do that. We talked about it at the beginning. You add up all your numbers, divide by how many numbers there are. So that's the first thing you do, is you find the mean. Then you're gonna find the distance between each and every data point from the mean. So you're gonna subtract them, figure out how far they are from that. And we're gonna practice that here in just a second, okay? And then lastly, you'll find the mean of all the numbers that you got in step two. And that is your MAD. Now, what does the MAD then tell me? It tells me how spread out my numbers are. So if I have a big MAD, that means my numbers are really spread out. If I have a small MAD, that means my numbers are very close together. Okay, so let's see how that works on the next page. So go ahead and turn the page. So we're going to start with just a simple data set, and we're going to do some calculations. So we have calculate the following data for the number of shoes for a sample 6th graders. So we have 5, 12, 15, 2, 4, 8, 20, 15, and 9. Those are our numbers. Okay, first thing we want to do is find the mean. Again, finding the mean, we want to add them all up. So normally we don't necessarily write out all the additions since this is our notes. Let's do it. So let's write that we're going to do 5 plus 12 plus 15 plus 2, plus 4, plus 8, plus 20, plus 15, plus 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers that I'm adding up. Okay, then we grab our calculator and we start adding those up. All right, which I've done already for us. When we add them up, it's going to make 90. Okay, so that's the sum of all of our numbers. And then we want to then divide by how many numbers we have. And we just got done saying there are 9 numbers there. So I'm going to divide all of this by 9. So I just wrote it like this so you can see I'm adding it all up, then divided by 9. So 90 divided by 9 then would make 10. So 10 would be my mean. Okay, and 10 should be near the middle of my numbers. So if I look at my numbers, looks like 2 is the smallest and 20 is the biggest. So yes, 10 is near the middle. Now it's not the exact middle. Exact middle, that's our median. So to do the median, now we want to list the numbers in order. So we want to go smallest to biggest. So first, 2 is the smallest. I like to cross them off as I go so I make sure I remember everything. 2, then 4. Then we have a 5 over there, which I'll cancel off. The next would be 8. And then 9. And then we have 12. And then we have 2 of them that are 15, so we write both of them separately. 15, 15, and then a 20. Guys, when you're putting them in order, I always go through and count and make sure I have all 9 data points or however many you're supposed to have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's really easy to make a mistake. If you miss one number, then it's all off, okay? All right, so now that they're in order, now we can find the middle number. So I just count my way in. So there, 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 and boom. 9 is in the middle. And it is an odd number of numbers, so it should be 1 number in the middle. Okay, so there's 4 numbers here, 4 numbers here. Yep, 9 is right in the middle. Okay, so my mean is 10, my median is 9. Now my mode, well that's the easiest, the one that occurs the most frequently. The list in order is the easiest one to help us see that. Well, the only number that repeated itself was the 15, so that would have to be my mode. All right, so moving along, range. Range is just the biggest number minus the smallest. So again, the order listed, or when they're listed in order, will help us out. So the biggest one is 20, minus the smallest one is 2. 20 minus 2 equals 18. So 18 is my range, meaning my numbers are 18 apart from each other, from the highest to the lowest. All right, now the new one, the MAD, okay? So if we look back to our list on the other side, step 1 was to find the mean. Well, check, I got the mean. Then all I want to do is I want to take the mean and I want to subtract it from all of my data points. I want to find its different. I want to figure out how far every point is from my mean. So this is you're gonna have to write pretty small here to fit this in. I'm gonna take 10 minus each of these numbers. So I'm gonna do 10 minus 2, that's the first number, okay, comma, 10 minus 4, 10 minus 5, 10 minus 8, 10 minus 9. Again, notice I'm just using each and every number. And then I get to this point. 12 is bigger than 10. So since I'm finding distance, I want it to always be positive. So instead of doing 10 minus each number, now I'm going to take each number and subtract 10 from it. So I'm going to do 12 minus 10. So I can see that, oh, that's going to make 2, which is a positive number. Okay, and I'll keep going with that. So now I'll do 15 minus 10, and then 15 minus 10 again, and then 20 minus 10. Okay, make sure you guys are writing all this out. Since this is something new, you're going to want every bit of the work that goes along with it. Okay, so again, this 10 comes from my mean. So the mean is what I used to, and subtracted it from all my data points. So now I just find these answers. So it's 10 minus 2 is 8, 10 minus 4 is 6, 10 minus 5 is 5, 10 minus 8 is 2, 10 minus 9 is 1, and then 12 minus 10 is 2, 15 minus 10 is 5, this one's 5 again, and then 20 minus 10 is 10. All right, so we're going back to the steps on the other side. First step is find the mean, which we did. Second step is find the difference of every data point and the mean, which is these numbers. The last step then is to then just find the mean of all these numbers. So we're going to take all these answers and add them up and see what we get. Okay, so we can grab our calculator and do that. And when we add those up, it should make, let me double check. I'm gonna grab my calculator and do it again. I don't think I wrote it right. Let's see, let's do some calculating. All right, 8 plus 6 plus 5 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 again, plus 5 plus 5 plus 10. All right, oh, I did write it right. Okay, so the sum is 44. And again, it's supposed to be the mean, so I'm going to take 44 and divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, again, 9 numbers. All right, so 44 divided by 9 then makes 4.8 repeating. Okay, so on average, what this number tells me is that most of the data typically lies within that's almost 5, within 5 numbers of my mean. So my mean being 10, most numbers should be within 5, either 5 numbers higher or 5 numbers lower. Again, that's me rounding 4.8 up to 5. Okay, so we're going to do some more work with MAD on your next day's notes. But this is it for day 1.